Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our morning coffee time. Hope everyone had a good weekend. And here we find ourselves at Monday, September the 21st, in the year 2020. Or at least that's the convention here in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. So, how is everyone? Hope everyone had a nice weekend, and I hope you're enjoying some fresh air and still bathing in a sense of appreciation for the goodness of having that condition back in your life. Nothing gives us a fresh appreciation for good health like a bout of illness or sickness or the blessings of our environment having been having it compromised for such a profound period of time. I don't think I've ever had to endeavor such horrible air conditions for so long. And yet some people live with something not all that dissimilar from that on a very regular basis for various reasons. And it is a blessing to live in a good place. A little bit of news I saw in the morning chat that Ladawan was going to be making a run to the post office today. And I think last week she was mentioning wanting to kind of wrap up the Pacific Hermitage 10th anniversary mask business. So if people haven't yet reached out to her, do so this morning if you can. And we still have some here at the Hermitage, more white than blue. Blue has been the fan favorite. So, but make a note of that. Also, we had a really nice weekend with the air clear and a bit of sun and comfortable temperatures. We were able to host a few friends from the Portland area for meal offerings and some Dharma discussion out on the deck this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, and that's nice. I was reflecting in the midst of it that we don't have many more days like that left in the year probably. So it's nice to see people taking advantage of it, and then several people were friends coming together to participate in the meal offering and share some time here at the Hermitage, which was very delightful to host and participate in. Reminder this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, although right now the forecast isn't as good as the weather was yesterday. We have our annual Woodchuckers Ball. So we will have a truck and a trailer on loan, and we have all of our cordwood prepared and a place to put it prepared down here near the Hermitage House. So it'll be a bit of a work party. And typically we have 10 or 12 volunteers show up each of those days, and we'll split people up into groups and move some wood around and get it stacked up and tarped up before the firewood season commences this fall, which is probably not far off. Sometimes we have to start our wood stove up about first part of October, sometimes even before then. So that'd be another nice opportunity for friends to kind of gather and here at the Hermitage and help out a bit. So if that's not already in your plans, take that into consideration, and it'd be nice to see people out here for as little or as long as you want to stay. So we'll focus the work from noon to 2 o'clock, and oftentimes people pop in, especially people that are more local, sometimes might pop in just for a half hour, an hour to help out a bit. So, and that's quite all right. If you really like such camaraderie and want to help out, you can come for the whole thing, Saturday and Sunday. And occasionally we get people to do that too, but I think it's going to go rather quick. I'll be surprised if we work the full 2 hours both days. I think fortunately we'll have enough people. Somebody was asking me yesterday how many people are coming. I said, well, I've heard from a few people, but it always seems to work out. We always seem to have just enough to get the work done without anybody struggling too bad. And if for some reason we don't have enough, the monks will take up the slack and we'll finish it off. So I have a busy day today and a very busy week. Today is the week that we're going to have our 2 global gatherings of the greater international communities of Wat Nom Papong, or Ajahn Chah's monastic family. And I'm playing host to these kind of global Zoom calls, and there'll be 60 senior monks and nuns gathering for those from around the world. So the first meeting starts tomorrow at 2 a.m. Pacific time. So I'll be up at 1 a.m. prepping the Zoom call. And then it's a 3-hour meeting followed by our live streamed morning puja at 5:30 a.m. Brief break, and then back for the morning coffee time. And then I actually have a day full of other appointments as well. So I'll be going till maybe about 6 o'clock. I could start to wind down. So Tuesday's the worst of it. If I'm looking a little dark under the eyes this week or something, that will be the reason. But knowing that, I purposely didn't work too hard this weekend and went for some walks and just enjoyed watching the wild turkeys and squirrels run around and play, and enjoyed these guests that we had coming to visit, and tried to catch up on some sleep and reading and a sense of spaciousness. And I think the theme for this week for me will be seeing how long I can maintain gratitude for the fresh air while we have it. The winds could change at any moment, and new fires could start at any moment. Just as we are aging, illness and death processes could start at any moment. Favorable conditions are not secure and not a true refuge for us. And there's a way of being happy and delighted that just keeps us exercising and stitched in to taking refuge in worldly conditions. Happiness and pain, blessings coming, blessings going, praise and blame, the worldly winds, as they say. And certainly one of the ways to step out of that is to cultivate the heart of gratitude for what one has. We don't want to not appreciate pleasure and the goodness that exists in our life and the blessings that we exist in our life. It's not some nihilistic tearing down of everything that is good and pleasurable. But we do want to learn how to appropriately receive pleasure and the blessings of life without exercising the habit of making that the focus and the refuge. Or in another way, I think of it as practicing our sense of well-being being dependent upon conditions which are always ephemeral, always imbued with the characteristic of unsatisfactoriness and ever beyond our control. Not self, not me, not mine. So it was a little spiritual challenge for us this weekend who've been living in the smoky areas. See how far you can take it. See how many days consecutively you can recollect and arouse a profound sense of gratitude for fresh air and the ability to breathe easy. And gratitude helps supports the habit of joy. And joy goes a long way to helping feed and nurture the heart that rests in awareness in the present moment. And the movement towards tranquility, lucidity, serenity, and clear seeing. And there's many ways to walk that path, but gratitude is a wonderful launching off point to move down that path towards tranquility, lucidity, and serenity. So what's on everyone else's mind this morning here? I have a hard out, as they say. I have a meeting with a contractor at 9 a.m. on the top part of our property, so I have to get out of here very strictly at 8:30 today. So let's look at your questions, concern, see what's going on for everyone. Do you have a favorite monk to listen to, sutta, teaching, or maybe something else you like to do to bring peace and calm, or a favorite coffee brand? I try to not have favorites in the sensual realm, or I try not to make too much of them. And on some level, I've kind of always been that way. I remember trying to decide what my favorite number was when I was a young child and what my favorite color was. And in some sense, they all seem pretty good. And practicing Dhamma has only strengthened that habit. So I don't really have a favorite coffee brand, but there are many that are good. And similarly, I don't really have a favorite teacher. And it seems to be something of a value in the community that I ordained into, both at Wat Nanachat, but also in the Ajahn Chah Sangha. It's a very big family, and there's a lot of Ajahns and a lot of teachers, and people gather frequently for various ceremonies and practice sessions and visit each other's monasteries with great regularity, especially in Thailand, where there's a much bigger density of monasteries. And so, from the time I entered the Sangha, I was very much in touch with this big family kind of feel. And even the language we use around monks long gone forth is similar to thinking of elder brothers or uncles or fathers or grandfathers. And from time to time, they visit and check in on your community and share some time and practice and give teachings. And other times you make the effort to go visit them in their monastery and get teachings. And so I've always kind of looked to a fairly wide array of different teachers, both within the Thai Sangha and also the international uh, disciples of Ajahn Chah. Of course, I prefer some over others. And when I want to listen to a Dhamma talk to arouse a sense of peace and calm, sometimes I'll listen to an Ajahn Sona talk or Ajahn Viradamo talk. Something about the way that they speak on Dhamma, there's a lightness and a warmth that's there, and I know both of them fairly well. Ajahn Sona more than Ajahn Viradamo, but sometimes if I'm feeling a little flat and I want just to listen to someone speaking on Dhamma, that's where I'll go. Occasionally I'll listen to Ajahn Jayasaro, who was the abbot of the monastery I trained in for quite a few years. So I lived and trained under him, and very fond of his practice and teaching. And it's also kind of special to listen to one of his talks, but I don't do that so often. Most of his talks that are published out there these days that are fresh are all in the Thai language. Similarly, there are some suttas that in different circumstances I turn to as well. Is it good or wholesome to give even if one is not giving wholeheartedly? So yeah, this is a good question, and it's something that comes up from time to time. And the short answer is yes, it's still good to give. And there's many suttas where the Buddha talks about the perfection of generosity, and the proper way to think about it is there is a hierarchy of giving. There are more perfect gifts and more perfect intentions for giving. There's more suitable situations or people to give to, either because of need or timeliness or the relationship that one has. But the Buddha almost always universally praises giving, unless the overriding intention is negative or wholesome, and then it's not really giving, of course. So it's not really true generosity if it's based on some ungenerous intention. And I think the value in this in the teaching is kind of to still be practical. It's not easy to give perfectly, and it is very good to sort of explore the spectrum of giving and generosity and selfless giving, as I kind of call it, and find ways that one can perfect and enhance and magnify both one's ability to give, but also to derive blessings and benefit from practicing selfless giving. So, in the other two parts that you put in there, Sarah, you talk about the sutta talking about being glad before, during, and after. That's a high challenge to do sort of every time, to have that kind of presence of mind and to be able to always exercise that. But that's like one example of how the Buddha is giving us kind of extra details to consider, to sort of explore how it is that we can strengthen giving and generosity and become more perfect in that, and also derive more benefit from it. And there are various suttas, where the Buddha says that we should, like say with family, you never want to completely throw your discernment out the window about the true need or appropriateness, but there's a lot of general encouragement to be a person who is not stingy or miserly, and quite open and ready to sort of aid and support our family. So, one has to kind of take that into consideration. And make it as good as you can. And a lot of that sort of depends on how it is one understands what it is they're doing and frames it, talks to oneself and practices it and remembers it. So make it as good as you can. Don't be too, we can be overly concerned about the flaw in the recipient, and you don't want that to sabotage one's good intentions to be selfless in giving. Okay, well, I think I'm going to leave it at that for today, friends. Cut out a little bit early here so I can get ready for my meeting. I don't see any other burning questions there. So I did see another question from Eleanor in here about sometimes feeling something was missing in your life, but you don't know what exactly. And I might just mention in passing that is a sign of dukkha. Dukkha creates this almost ever persistent feeling of unsatisfactoriness, like something's missing in life. Life always feels a little bit imperfect and incomplete. So that's the sign of dukkha. And the remedy to that is cultivating the Dhamma. So I'll leave that as a parting thought for you today. And breathe easy today and enjoy the blessings of your life. Walk forward with gratitude and goodness. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Be well, friends.